All right, I'm with G here today. He's a new wholesaler with us, and he asked to meet with me. He had some questions, and so I thought it'd be an opportunity. He's probably going to ask a lot of questions that most of you have, and so I wanted to videotape it, and thank you for being here and letting me do this, and fire away.
All right, first thing I want to say is I think it was just genius the way that you put it together, how I was able to find you. So
Right.
therefore, I was looking and looking and looking, trying to find my own lot. So I knew that I had to have my own lot, I had to have my own sign, I had to have all my insurances and everything. So I ran across this guy, I was like, he's saying that he can do all this and offer this if I just do this. So I weighed the outcome, and by golly, it's real. I'm sitting here with this gentleman, and it's real. The benefits and everything that he offers, it's all here. It's real, So
Well, thank you for that plug. I wasn't expecting it, but that's great.
Yeah. So if y'all did, it was like me, and you were searching, and you was trying to put it together, he's gonna pop up. When he pops up, take advantage of your opportunity, like I did. Okay.
All right, buddy. So, now let me pay you back for that. Okay.
So the questions I have is, I did my research on you. I know you've been in the business for a long time and everything, and I believe that being a mentor will help out a whole lot.
Right.
That's one of the things that I'm looking for is the mentorship, because I want to try to grow and advance and get along as good as I can. So I guess the first question I will ask is, where do I start?
Well, here's the thing you need to remember, that now you're approved. You have started. You've made an investment now to have your dealer's license, and we've linked you to our dealership, so you have started. The only thing left to do now is to basically start previewing some auctions. We have our strategies that I do. For instance, I'm a big fan of Mannheim and Nashville, and so we have our strategies that typically we deal in mostly open consignment auctions, and so that auction for Mannheim is actually handled. It starts on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock. Now there's two here as well. There's ABC, or there's auto dealers auction here, and then we have a very good public auction here. And we have a lot of people that typically what they do is they will go buy their auctions through dealer-only auctions, because they have that access, and drive that car right down to a public auction and resell it.
Wow.
So, you've started now. It's just a matter of picking out exactly what type, whether you want to go in volume or you want to go in, a good selling to an individual on a retail basis. It just depends on what you want to do. Me personally, I'm a 4 to 5 car guy a month is what I like to flip. But again, I've got some other entities that keep me, for one, making sure that you have the mentor and the guidance that you need. So therefore, I have to restrict my activities, and getting to work with people like yourself is very important to me, because I can collect my substance, my content for the YouTube channel, and still help you along the way. It's very difficult. People may not understand it, but it's very difficult for me to go out, preview my cars, buy my cars, recondition my cars, then remarket my cars, and still oversee our group, because there's some administration that I have to do. But anyway, my time is limited to 5 or 6 cars a month. But you can still make a darn good living off of 5 or 6 cars a month if you really hold out. If you're offering a car at a good price. Dealers, a lot of people are not aware of this, but a dealer price their cars $3,000 above what they have in them. So, but these dealers are having to support large overheads and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to do that. So, I mean, well, we're making $1,000 to $1,500 a car. We're doing pretty well, and especially if you do that 4 or 5 times a month, you're close to, especially what it costs you to operate. That's a darn good return. So the only thing you can do now is basically have your capital in line, and I say, a couple of $3,000, most people, and that starts you off slow, but go buy you a $1,500 car, wax it up, clean it up, check it out, probably maybe spend $300 or $400 on it, making it a decent car, and then market it to somebody that needs good transportation to work, price it at $3,000, get a few of those under your belt as your nest egg or your investment capital grows, stretch it out. But the thing that I try to caution people about is don't jump into this thing thinking that the more you buy and the more you invest in it is going to make a big difference on the level that we're on, because honestly, a $1,500 car will make more money than a $10,000 car. I mean, because you got a bigger market for that price range car. You got to keep a lot of things. We are used car marketers, remarketers, and so if you're going out here and you're pricing yourself to where people are going to have to go borrow the money, you're competing with the guy across the street who's got 1.9 financing. So you want to watch what you buy. Keep yourself into a market where people can buy and pay cash for it, or at least get a short-term loan from a credit union or something like that. But I just do not buy, for my investments, I do not buy anything above $5,000. It's not going to pay you any more money. This is not, it's not a game to where you're out there that you have a certain amount of return. It's just as difficult, probably more difficult, to sell a $5,000 to $8,000 car than it is a $3,000 car. And so that's the thing that I caution people in doing. Go to the auction now and get there the day before the auction. Do your homework. Drive the car around the lot. Take some notes on the car. Get on and do your quick free auto check and find out how many owners the car may have had on it and things of that nature. Obviously, tires, condition. You've been selling cars, so you know what a nice car looks like. And one of my mentors always told me is you can't have too much money in a real nice car. You can have too much money in a car that's shaky. So as long as you can justify that you're selling good transportation, you'll get your price out of it.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's what I was looking for there.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question would be, how do I, get to these auctions and get registered and all that?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you haven't been to an auction yet. And so you are now able to go to any auction that you choose. Once we link you up through Auction Access, you are able to go. Now, the first auction that you go to, you will present your driver's license to. And when you present your driver's license, because you're already in the database, I've entered you in the database. So the first time you go, you got to present your driver's license to show evidence that the person I said is who they are when they get there. So they're going to take your picture and they're going to give you a bidder number. At that time, you'll be able to buy cars from that minute you enroll. Then, within a week, you will have a membership ID that is sent back to you after they take your picture, that from then on in, instead of your driver's license, you can take your membership card. It's an auction access card, and you can either scroll the kiosk there or you can walk up, but you get a bidder number every week that you go in. And then you just go out into the lanes and rear back and start bidding. You know, like I said, and if you go to Mannheim, I love Mannheim because there's so many tools with their auction. That's one of the first things you need to do is go ahead and register, because they're going to ask you for your auction access number, and you go ahead and register for that free account with Mannheim.com, and they'll ask you for your 1 million number.
Okay.
And then they will set you up your own account. It's an individual account that keeps up with the cars that you're looking at, the cars that you're buying, whether or not your titles are at the auction. It lets you know everything you need to know about your purchase. And when you go to Mannheim, you'll see that, okay, you might be looking, for instance, this morning I logged on to Mannheim.com. They ran 700 cars this morning.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Now that's a light day. 700 is light day. Tomorrow they're running 2,200. So Mannheim is running really 3,000 to 4,000 cars a week through there. But you have all the tools there that when you click on a car, they're going to show you several different pictures of that car. They're going to give you whether that car is as is or whether it has you know, some statements on it. They're going to tell you if they have the title there. They're going to give you a range of what that car is bringing through all the Mannheim facilities, a car comparable. The reason we're in the used car business, and the one thing that's fascinating about the used car business, is there's not but one used car. Okay? Now you can go out to a new car dealer and you can find all of his, it's easy to track down, you know, basically the manufacturer's suggested retail. But when you have a used car and you have a 2003 Toyota, for instance, I looked at this morning, you got a 2003 Toyota, car's got 46,000 miles on it. Now that's not your average 2003 Toyota, okay? Mm-hmm. So that car obviously, you know, the person that goes out there and compares, even at an auction or retail or whatever, he compares that car and says, there is no 41,000 mile 2003 Toyotas. So whoever bought that car paid an outrageous price for it, and when they sell it, they're going to get an outrageous price for it. I mean, when you stop to think about it, the car hadn't had even 5,000 miles a year put on it.
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah, the good thing about the used car market, I mean, the car is a story in itself. You put a 2003 Toyota on Craigslist, typically that car is going to be a retail car, $3,500 to $4,000, unless you put it on there for $7,000. And somebody, whoa, what is this? So, hey, it doesn't matter what year it is, it's got 41,000 miles on it. So every used car is unique. And when you go out, you always look, and after a while you start listening to customers, just like you did in the used car business. You start listening to them. Well, it's too high miles. Personally, I deal in real high mile vehicles. Good vehicles, miles don't scare me. I'm driving a 2001 Toyota with 300,000 miles on it.
Wow.
And my goal is to get it to 1 million. I mean, you know, the car is a one-owner car. It's been immaculately maintained. And, you know, I have it priced at $4,000. And if it doesn't bring $4,000, I'll continue to drive it.
That's an awesome goal to have.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
It's, I'm in a win-win situation on cars like that. I got to have transportation too. And so, you know, that's good. I buy a lot of minivans. Minivans are very good merchandise, because you got your soccer moms and you got your painters and your guys now that take the seats out of them and use it. So I find that a good investment.
Okay. All right. So, just run back over everything. First thing we do is start at the auction. Find a good car. Buy it. Put some recon in it. And resell it.
Right.
And try not to get a vehicle that's like super, super expensive, because you're going to get out of it what you put
Well,
into it.
set your budget. You know,
Okay.
you want to establish you a budget. We've all got one, and when you go in, You know, if you've got a $2,000 budget after your recon, you know, you're going to be limited yourself to $1,200-$1,300 cars, which after the fees are going to be $1,500 cars. Nothing wrong with that. I buy them every week that I can. I've made good money staying in that $1,500 range. So it's not a bad place to be at all.
Okay, all right. Well, kind of I guess kind of some of the concepts is that, or I guess the taboo around the subject is that when you have dealer's license, you can actually purchase vehicles at a super low price. Because I mean, I know maybe the $1,500 is kind of like scary to people, but I mean, what would I get for like, just for say $500?
Well, for one, a $500 car, let's put that in perspective. A $500 car, if you're looking at, you know, iron right now is about $200 a ton. Okay, so if you take a 4,000-pound car, if you can tow it to a scrapyard, it's worth $400.
Okay.
Okay, so what you want to keep in concept, these dealers are pretty smart too. Just because they're running through the auction is one thing, but they also know that they can pull a car to the scrapyard and get that $400 or $500 out. Don't get me wrong, I have bought some vehicles out of there for $400 or $500, but it's a fluke when you do, even if you do that, because when you go to that auction, if you're at the auction, there's probably 300 to 400 people standing around the auction, and then there's no telling how many thousands that are online. And every one of them's the first concept. When I'm looking at a car and it's at $500, if it's going through a lane, I'm probably going to bid on it if it's driving. Okay, smoking, I don't care, because I'm not really looking at. I know my risk factor is $100 at most. Okay, I may make $1,000 on the car, but I can't lose over $100 because the car weighs out for $400. Okay.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying?
I got you.
So if I see a $500 car, actually, I'm really getting a $100 car because I've got $400 guaranteed from a scrapyard.
I got you.
Okay, so, and that's the way the car business is. Somebody will go out and say, well, I paid $1,500 for that car, and it was junk. No, it's not junk, because junk in the car business is still money. Metal is money. Okay, and here's a perfect story that I'll tell you. Gives me an opportunity to get it off my chest. About 3 weeks ago, I bought a 1996 Honda Civic. It was 1998 Honda Civic CRV. Okay, I paid $1,165 through the auction for the car, and so after fees and everything, I had about $1,320 in it or something like that. And so I brought the car back. The car had a terrible miss on it. So, you know, I took the car down to have it tuned up, spent about $50 on it to have it tuned up. And my pretty good mechanic says, hey, this thing's more than likely, it's running a whole lot better. It did need to tune up, but I think it's got a burnt valve. So I had a friend contact me and said, hey, do you have any cars that are under $2,000? Yes, I do have one car. It was a Honda, and I says, but now it's got a miss in it, and I've had a worst case scenario of it could need a valve job. Well, typically you can take a head off of a car like that and take it to the valve job, have a valve job on it for $300. Now you've got your labor putting the head off and on and stuff for about $300. And so, needless to say, I had this so-called friend, which is not really bitter, but contact me back and say, hey, I want my money back. Well, number one, I held the car for them for 30 days.
Yeah.
And I've been over backwards and working with them to help them get a car in 2000. You don't buy a car under $2,000. It doesn't need some little mechanical odds to it. So I even explained to him at that time, you know, it may be $300 that it costs you to fix it, but when it's good and running and said and done, you're going to have $2,100, $2,200 in the car. Well, when he pulled the head off, he decided he wanted to put a distributor in it. Then he decided he wanted to put a timing belt on it. He contacted me back and said, hey, well, you gonna help me out for all this? No, sir. It's a 200-something thousand mile car. It's running. It'll run fine with the valve job on it. No, you know, so that's where you've got to draw your limitation. That was an $1,165 car that really, if you had to pay for it to be done, would have been a $700 recon. Okay? But you're talking about a Honda CRV. They bring darn crazy money. People want them. But you have to condition. So when you're looking at a $500 car, you definitely are going to be looking at something that's probably got a lot of rust in it. Definitely got some issues on it. It's hard to be in this business at a $500 car. But there's so many opportunities in your license. If you've been selling cars, you can also be a broker. You know, I don't know where you're at as far as clientele, but a lot of times, you know, getting over there and seeing what you're going to get for your money is going to be the biggest thing that's going to happen to you. And you know, I don't mind. I'm not against helping people out. You know, if you go over and find a little car that's above your budget, I'll fund you.
Wow.
I mean, you know, because the reason that I'm limited to 4 or 5 cars a month is because of all my other chores that I have to do. But I mean, you want to go with that auction and you find something over there that, you know, we can pick up 2 or 3 cars and invest $3,000 or $4,000. You know, I'll fund you. That's not a big deal.
Wow.
So, money is useless unless it's working for you. So,
Y'all hear that, right?
yeah. So, you know, if you're ready to get started and things are tight, we'll go over there a couple of times and we'll look at a couple and get you into the habits of what I like to buy, and you know, we'll buy them and you sell them, and you know, other people's money can take you a long way.
That's true. That's true. I believe in that there.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
So
I guess the last question I want to ask is, I know myself, I'm a hustler. I get out there and I do my job. I do what I'm supposed to do.
right.
So I want to ask you this: if I put my all into this, will it be profitable?
In the car game, it's one thing that I've always loved about it is the sheer fact that you know, it's not really what you would call putting your all into it. It's you put your heart, your soul, and your mind into it. I mean, you can't lose. There's absolutely no way that you can. If you put the thing that I love about it, I have this office here. I have a home office. You got your laptop, you got your computer, you got your cell phone, and you know, there's nothing any more enjoyable to me than be walking around in 80-degree weather, looking at 600 cars, taking pictures of them, seeing how they've been nurtured, maintained before, and so I enjoy that tremendously. And you know, if you you just can't lose. And you know, sometimes I've got people that have to supplement their income in other areas because, you know, especially if we're working out a split profit deal, you know, and stuff like that. It's great, but the thing I want to encourage you on is to go ahead and get started. Like I said, you know, after meeting you and going over here to pick your auctions, you know, I don't buy from public auctions, but I will sell at public auctions. Because
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's ask about that. So, using your steps, go to the dealer's auction, purchase a vehicle, recon. I can just take it, and from this dealer auction, just take it over here to this other auction and sell it.
there's a guy right over here. These two auctions right over here at here in Huntsville. They're roughly 4 miles apart. This guy buys on Tuesday morning, or is it Wednesday morning? I can't remember. But that afternoon they're sitting at the public auction. Still
Wow.
with the dealer's auctions numbers on them.
Wow.
There's more than one guy doing that. They're going straight. They'll buy 8 or 10 cars and then run them straight to the public auction.
So,
I mean,
you're just flipping your money that quick.
you know, that's what some of them are, but then a lot of people don't understand the public auction. When you're dealing with the public, they know less what a car's worth. The dealer auctions, yeah, when you go to a dealer auction, you're going to find out relatively what the car's worth, the market value. But you go looking at an individual, they don't have a clue what a car's worth. They know what kind of money that they have in their pocket, and that's what you're basing on, how much they can spend on a car. But you tell the average individual, and back to that 2003 Toyota, you tell the average individual that you're wanting $5,000 for that car, it's going to take you a while to sell it. It loves the fact that it's a 41,000 mile car, but some of them are a little bit, you know, confused because they'll go out and buy a newer car, say a 2007 that's got over 100,000 miles on it, just because it
looks better.
Well, this car looked great, but it had the stigma of being a 2003. I mean, it's a 12-year-old car now. So some people will go look at a 5-year-old car, even though it's got twice the miles on it, and pay more money for it. So the public, when you're selling the car to a public, they have no idea what a car's really worth. You know, because they got the KBBs, they got your Kelly Blue Book, and those things are so far off. I mean,
that's true. I've learned that. I've
yeah,
learned that.
Yeah, your KBB, these things are going so fast. Even let's say an Audi 4 convertible, in January is a $4,500 car. Say a 2006 Audi 4 convertible, it's a $4,500 car. It's 82 degrees in Huntsville, Alabama today. That car would be worth $6,000 today because we're heading into the spring, because it'd be convertible. Nobody wants really a convertible in January. They don't think about that. But convertibles jump up traditionally at least $1,000 when the weather hits for them.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know, so four-wheel drive, same thing. You can buy a four-wheel drive closer to what it's worth now. Wait till December, and four-wheel drives are through the roof. You know, so the car market is traditionally, it's seasonal. You know, the only thing even college, every factor that you can consider has to be considered when you're buying a car. Number one, are you selling in a college town? Okay. Where is your market? When you're going out, the first thing you want to do when you decide on a car that you're going to invest in, where's my market? You know, that's why I like minivans. They have 2 or 3 different markets. Soccer moms carrying them to school, dads that are trying to support the family. So I like the minivan market. When you're in a college town, you know, the 4-door sedans, imports, school starting and stopping makes a big difference. And of course, the income tax season. When people got a lot of money, You know, that's the time that it's really difficult. You make a lot of money selling cars, but you're paying a lot of money because everybody that's at that auction, everybody's looking for that income tax check.
Okay, so that makes sense that it will be seasonal.
Oh yeah, it's a very seasonal business. So, you know, but right now you're going to be, it's a good window for you, you know, because you got the summer season. And so there's a real good window for you to act upon, and by fall being ready to shift gears into four-wheel drives. But right now, you know, I'm a sucker for convertibles and sunroofs and stuff like that. So,
Okay, all right. So basically, what you're saying is find your market, stick to it, or change with the season.
yeah, well, you're going to change with the season, but the cars that I don't buy, for me, I don't buy a lot of European cars. Very expensive to get worked on.
Okay.
Okay, you know, so European cars I tend to stay away from. I like Chrysler products. Again, I love the Chrysler van. You know, I don't buy many Hondas and Toyotas because although they're sought after, people, you know, they still come back with, man, that's high for an 01 car. You know, it's a Honda or Toyota, you know, it's got 300,000 miles on it. All that tells me is that it's going to probably make it another 300,000.
That's true. That's true.
You know, because, you know, it's just like a good old dog, man. A new puppy just going to chew you up and things. That good old dog's hard to beat.
Yeah.
So I personally like well-maintained, even though they may be high-mile cars.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Now, had you given any thought to what kind of car you want to?
that's definitely something that I think I would need to think about. Is what direction, what kind of cars I should go in.
You know, I have friends that will handle nothing but European cars, and particularly the BMWs, the Lexus, or not the Lexus, but the Mercedes, but they specialize in those cars. And so they have a big clientele, very confident when they're buying those cars that the main thing, well, I don't handle anything but BMWs, or, you know, high dollar European cars. Me, I specialize, like I said, in a market where I can retail a car for $3,000 and it's good transportation for school. I deal in stepping stone vehicles.
Okay.
That works for me. You know, I don't, because I guarantee you, 100,000 mile BMW is just as subject to breakdown as a 100,000 mile Chevrolet. The only difference is one's going to cost you more repair than the other.
Okay. That's true. That's true.
So I deal in those cars a lot when I tell people, you know, just like the little Civic that I talked about a few minutes ago. You know, I knew the head job. I mean, you can buy a complete engine for those things for $600.
Okay. I guess my last question would be, we go back to the auction again, because that seems like that's where the heart of it is going to be at.
Right.
Is there a way, you know, this day of technology now, is there a way that I can actually look at inventory at the auction online?
Yeah, sure.
And possibly even bid online?
Absolutely. You can proxy bid. I caution you when you proxy bid.
Okay.
Okay, but you can look at the inventory. That's what I'm saying. When you get back, you want to sign up for Manheim.com, and that's going to give you the run list. They call it a run list of what they're going to run today and tomorrow and whatever. But you can look at all the inventory online. You can enter proxy bids. You can actually go online the time of the auction, bid on the vehicles real time. So you're not really having to. I mean, they're running them through the lanes, and you're sitting there logged on, and you can bid on the car while it's going through the lanes. So
wow.
The technology there, I mean, you're not going to see anything. There's nothing you can't do. Now, on proxy bidding, I only do it if it's a $500 or $600 car that, you know, I'm going to bid on, I'll throw a proxy bid, and I've only won one this year. But it was just a situation to where that, hey, I needed a van, I needed a donor van, and I looked at one, and I bid on it, won the bid, got it, got there, and the van that I bought to be a donor van was worse than the van that I was trying to get the parts for, so that didn't work out for me. Anyway, excuse me just a moment, I'm gonna sit so that didn't work out for me on getting it. And like I said, with the proxy bid, that's subject, because you can't hear the car run, you know, and so I'm a little bit, if it's over $500-600, if I'm going to invest $1,000, I want to go, I'm going to drive the car around the auction lanes or the auction parking lot and kind of have an idea on it. You know, proxy bidding when you're just risking the weight is one thing, but if you're dependent on the car making it from A to B, you need to be there.
So basically, it's best to be hands-on.
Oh yeah, always. This is this business, because you're going to have to keep in mind, the more research you put in that car, and the more of your time you put in that car, you're building value into that car. When you're just sitting there, a pig in a poke, and clicking on it and buying it, really you're not putting any value in the car. The value comes from the car. The salesman will never leave the car game because of the simple fact that what you're going to have to do, particularly one reason I buy in Nashville is because I drive the car 100 miles. Okay, so when I get back to Huntsville, somebody says, well, what do you know about the car? Well, I bought the car from Beeman Toyota in Nashville through auction liquidation. I drove it 100 miles. I spent $15 in gas. There was no smoke behind me as I was coming down the road. There was no shake, no wobble or anything as I was coming down the road. So that's what I wound up doing. And that helps me build value in it.
Okay.
All right. So, any more?
Well, I think that's it.
All right, buddy. Good. Now, when you want to go to an auction?
Now.